Before we start, I would like to state a few things. First of all, despite featuring Thomas the Tank Engine characters, this video and channel in general is not intended for children in any way, shape, or form, as it includes swearing, talking trains, mediocre voice acting, violence, and mentions of sensitive events. If you are a parent whose child had been influenced by any of these things in a bad way, let me emphasize that I will not take any responsibility for what you or your child watches. So, if you're afraid of trains, or if you haven't heard words like fuck, shit, or piss before, then, well, you have now. I would also like to state that I do not own the rights to Thomas the Tank Engine. That unfortunate honor goes to Mattel Creations, not me. Hey, Edward. What's up? Oh, I was just reminiscing on some of my early days before arriving here. Oh, that must be nice. You never told me about your days on the Furness line. I mean, I know that you used to be an express engine, but you didn't tell me much else last time I asked about it either. Well, that depends. Would you like to hear it? Of course we would. You have always had the most interesting stories, Edward. Alright then. My story begins around the year 1896. The year I was built in Glasgow, I was immediately put to work. Back then, I was young, naive, and very impatient. Too impatient, which was partly due to my steaming issues back then. Because of this, I was mainly kept on smaller goods trains, while my brothers and sisters got the express. By the time of 1901, there were 8 bus K2 class engines, one of which was the main express engine known as Eric. Perhaps that made him too big for his buffers, as although he pulled the express well, he was extremely arrogant and boastful, tending to brag about how others who he deemed inferior to him could never reach his status. One day, I finally got to pull passengers, but even better, to pull the express. I was thrilled. Imagine little young me pulling the express itself. Needless to say, things didn't turn out so well. Come on! For fuck's sake! Get moving! Oh dear, Edward. Seems you aren't capable to pull the express now, are you? Shut up! I couldn't do it. I could barely move the train or even build up steam that day, and it was clear I wasn't ready. Of course, Eric had a good laugh about it, but I was still annoyed at what happened and still believed that I could pull it. Did you ever get another chance at pulling it? Well, yes, along with a fair share of mistakes on my way, like the time I had to take the Furness Post train. It had been a week after what had happened, and one day our manager, Mr. Pettigrew, arrived to tell us that the engine who normally took the Furness Post train had broken down, which is where I came in. So, who would like to do it? I can do it, sir! Oh yes, we all know Edward can manage anything. Yes, I can! I can prove it to you once Alright, it's been decided. Edward, you might as well get to the yards to collect the vans. Yes, sir. I'll show you. Oh, I'm sure you will. I was coupled to the mail vans and set off. It was an important job, and I was eager to impress, but Eric had rubbed off on me, and I started to get annoyed and impatient by the constant stopping at almost every station. Come on, come on! Let's get this done quickly. No time to waste if I want to prove myself worthy. Good Lord, finally! Oh shit! I have to change the points quickly! Edward, stop!
I'll never deliver the parcels on time now.
Once I was pulled back onto the rails, I was sent to the works in case of any damage done to me. When I returned around 2 days later, I was given a talking to by Mr. Pettigrew. I apologized for how I was and promised never to be impatient again. As he was a very reasonable man on the furnace, he calmly let me off and told me that it's best for me to stay in the yards for a while and that I will be working alongside Ethan for the time being. Who was that? He was my older brother, the first one of us built. I guess you could say I got some of his traits on me nowadays. Once I arrived in the yards, he was there to see me. I was sad at first, but Ethan just laughed, saying, "You know, I would never have managed to rush myself that much. If pulling the mail train as fast as possible was a job around here, you would be perfect." We both laughed at this together. As the rest of the month went on, I started to get used to shunting to the point where I really started to really enjoy it. Is that why you got your liking for shunting? Yes, it is. Sounds like you have been through an important lesson, Edward. Indeed. I did, but that didn't mean I was defeated. It had been about a week, and I was still shunting in the yards. Eric still didn't make me hear the end of what happened with the post train, but I just decided to ignore him. Until one day. Edward, Eric has stalled himself on the hill and is now stuck. Mr. Pettigrew asked you to rescue him and take the train with him the rest of the way. Me? Help that arrogant engine? Look, Edward, I'm not saying I would really like to do so in your place either, but you have been asked to help him. This could be your chance to prove yourself despite what happened the last 2 times. Plus, wouldn't you want to see the karma he has gotten into after how he has been to you? I guess you're right, Albert. All right, I will go. Oh, hello, Eric. Having a bit of trouble, aren't we? You don't have the strength to move me up this hill. Well then, just watch me. Whoa, whoa, hey! Eric told me to stop, but I didn't and just kept on going. It was amazing. Now I knew how pulling the express felt. It felt like you were unstoppable and capable to do anything. Come on, Eric! Keep up! We arrived at Barrow about 5 minutes early, where our journey terminated. I stopped by the water tower beside the station platform. We stopped there to get a drink. Well, well, well. I may not be able to do everything, Eric, but at least I can pull the express just as well as you. Hope to see you later at the sheds. If you can keep up, that is. Goodbye! That day, the passengers were really impressed with what happened, and Mr. Pettigrew, as well as everyone at the sheds, well, except Eric, all cheered and congratulated me, and after that day, I was put more on the express once my steaming issues were fixed in a few years' time. It was hard at first, but I managed just fine, as well as pulling Eric along with the train. That was a very inspiring story, Edward. Yes, but what about Eric? Did he ever change? Well, it's quite the funny story that. Once I was brought to the Northwestern Railway... Excuse me, Edward, but you're needed to take a passenger train. Well then, I would like to talk more, but I guess it's ready for me to go. See you two later. See you later.